it feels like the animals are really here in service to us. So they're on their own journey as well. They're moving through different themes and different lessons in their life, but it really feels like they're here to be of service to us, particularly our own pets. They come into our life at particular points on our journey to assist us in moving through certain challenges, to support us in difficult times, to help us learn lessons. And that's what I love about communicating with animals. Like, they just say it as it is. They don't try and soften the blow or make it fluffy, or they just give you the divine truth. You know, it's just like straight to the point. It's there's no gray area with animals. It's just like, it's this. And the animal tells me there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just doing this to bring this up for my owner so they can receive healing. Because what I find often is people are very reluctant to pay for their own healing. They're very reluctant to pay for a session, but when there's something wrong with their animal, they will actually book a session. And that's just the animal's way of getting them to do the releasing. So it's actually, the session ends up usually being for the human companion of the animal. Obviously there's still healing for the animal as well, but that is the way that animals are being of service. So this is where, you know, exploring past lives can be useful, where we can go back, look at what happened before, and we can release that energy. We don't have to have the same experiences again. We're not here in this life to recreate the experiences that we've had in the other life. Like, it's time for something new now. This is literally the life we've all been dying to live. This is the life. This is the life where we do get to live our dreams. So follow the excitement, follow the calling of your soul, because also the calling of your soul is also going to be the thing that brings you money as well. So a lot of people are saying, I can't come on the dolphin retreat because it's too much money. But actually, money follows joy. So if you're putting your joy into something, then of course the money is going to come. If you go to work every day and do a job you hate, and, you know, yes, you're going to get paid for it, but that's not going to be an influx of infinite abundance. That's going to be maybe a steady stream of income that's paying your bills. But if you actually step into the thing that really brings you joy and expands your being, that is going to create a lot of abundance for you.
And what you've just shared is just the simplicity of follow your highest excitement, and that joy is infinite abundance. Like, that is it. We've just been so conditioned and used to and trained into believing that it's got to be hard and challenging and whatever. And that's an old consciousness.
It feels like we're kind of in this process of like unlayering all the programming of self-doubt and all the places where we felt like we had to play small. And it feels like we are in this emergence period now.
Hello, welcome to another Divine Love Ambassador podcast with your host, Mary Jo Halligan. Welcome to another amazing conversation. Today, I welcome someone very special. All my guests are very special, of course. Today, though, is a special soul sister. And this is the first time I've ever actually had her on my podcast. So I'm very excited to have this conversation. Rebecca's background is, well, how I met her in 2015 was through angelic Reiki, then past life regression, Palladian light work, mediumship, animal communication. We've done many quantum healing hypnosis clients. Rebecca's been my client. We've been on this journey together really since 2015. It's been a magical journey. And yeah, we look forward to diving into this this conversation and exploring especially the animal communication, which I know from 2015, from the first quantum healing hypnosis session we ever did together, which it was very clear that it's part of your, you know, it's a very central theme of your soul mission to be on the planet as an animal communicator. So welcome, my beautiful Divine Love sister, ambassador to Divine Love Ambassador podcast, Rebecca Gamble.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So where will we dive in?
The possibilities are endless.
Well, let's start with the animal communication. You know, what is, if you could, you know, if there was one message from the animal kingdom that most wanted to be shared or understood, what would that be?
That's a big question to start with. One message from the animal kingdom. it feels like the animals are really here in service to us. So they're on their own journey as well. They're moving through different themes and different lessons in their life, but it really feels like they're here to be of service to us, particularly our own pets. They come into our life at particular points on our journey to assist us in moving through certain challenges, to support us in difficult times, to help us learn lessons. So yeah, I really feel like it really feels like they're here for us. And that's not to take away anything from their sovereignty, but I just really feel the part of their soul that's really here to support us on our journeys, and yeah, to teach us deeper levels of compassion, particularly with like farm animals and things like that. But yeah, our own personal pets, it feels like they're here to support us on our own journey through life. Yeah.
And I can relate to that with Majika, my doggie. I remember there being a moment one day, and you were very much part of that journey, to really help in a way be a communicator, you know, and help me understand more about Majika. And I remember once I text you when there was stuff going on with my little doggie, who I used to call my heart, that she was my heart, and you relayed a message to me that was very shocking at the time, because I've been on this healing journey for many years. I was running a retreat and day spa, and you said I remember at the time you felt a bit uncomfortable even relaying it. It's like, this is the message I'm getting, not sure how you're going to take it. And basically the message was, when are you actually going to take, like, this is from Majika through you back to me, was, when are you going to take responsibility for your own healing? And at the time, my human was like, well, that's not very helpful. But over time, and I won't go too much into that journey, but I became more and more aware of what that really meant, that there was these aspects, especially in my childhood, that I still wasn't fully aware of, that she was trying to bring to my attention, so I could heal those aspects of my inner child. And then I began to click it together. But the reason I'm also saying it is going back to what you're saying about being in service, because I remember like it touched my heart so much when I realized, oh my God, this is how much she loves me unconditionally.
Yeah.
That she was willing to take on certain physical attributes and bodily issues to help me reach an awareness of the reflection that she was trying to help me have that connection to within myself, so I could start to be aware with it with myself. I mean, you know, I didn't really understand, like, I wouldn't have understood exactly what you're sharing now if I didn't have that journey with her so much. So now I totally, absolutely get it. So thank you.
And that's what I love about communicating with animals. Like, they just say it as it is. They don't try and soften the blow or make it fluffy, or they just give you the divine truth. You know, it's just like straight to the point. There's no gray area with animals. It's just like, it's this. So they see their owners clearly. They see what's going on for them in their lives. They feel their emotions. They know their lessons. And so when I'm communicating to an owner really through their pet, the animal is just able to give such direct reflections to them about what it is they're learning in their life, what it is that they're maybe getting stuck on. I mean, often, you know, it's interesting with animals, often they're so confused about the way we live our lives, because we're just rushing around, you know, getting our to-do list done, and, you know, we're going here and we're going there, and the animals are like, whoa, like, just slow down, you know. Like, I remember Majika used to walk really slowly through the forest, and you used to say, oh my God, she's doing my head in. What's the message? And Majika said, well, you just slow down and smell the flowers, because you were just marching ahead, getting the walk done. But she was like, let's actually enjoy this present moment together. And that's a massive message that comes from animals, actually. Enjoy the present moment, because this is essentially all we've got, right? And we're always so busy looking into the future, or what are we getting done, or what are we achieving? And the animals just want to be there with you in that moment.
Yeah. And another little story that came up, I think it's hilarious, but I can't remember. I think it was with your help again that helped to kind of click this into place for myself and Steve. But I remember we were like bemused that she, out of all the places she could lie, she kept lying behind the door into the kitchen of our retreat, where we were living and running our business for many years. And this is shortly before she died. So she died, as you know, just over 2 years ago, I think, in March. 2022. And but before that, in the months before that, yeah, she would just lie. And so we would do our daily dues every day, walk up the hall, you know, whatever we had to prepare and get ready and do breakfast, and Steve would do the breakfast or whatever. And then she would really be that, you know, we'd be like, Majika, why are you behind the door? And like, you know, it's like, and it was like a real interrupter. And it was then, I think it was through you that really helped to see that she was purposefully trying to interrupt our patterns, because we were in this pattern. Our nervous system was actually in this daily pattern that had become so subconscious and automatic. And she was trying to break us out of it, to actually, it's like to wake up. And as you said, to be more present in the moment, be more available to something new, and be more adaptable, rather than just kind of run through the same run of the mill, in a way, Groundhog Day at that stage, you know, for us. We didn't really realize. So, I mean, it's just incredible, the actual, the wisdom, you know, that is coming through them, which of course is because they're really just a tool of the divine. They're just connected to all that is, right? And they are, I remember you saying to me once as
Not
well.
attached either, you know,
Yeah.
they're not attached to how you receive the message, you know, they just want to speak the truth.
Yeah. And as you said, it's a very literal message.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily think literally. So it's like, why would you lie there? That's a nuisance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then once you get it, and it's like, oh my God, that's so, you know, that's so clever, really, you know, of yeah, breaking up the patterns. How else could she do it? How else could that come to our attention? And you know, it's like many things, like for the awakening journey of many people, you know, it's often we do have to have a lot more abrupt disturbances or interrupters than just a little doggy lying behind the door, you know, to get our attention, so that we become more present in the moment. So I think the animals, in a way, they're a very gentle, you know, this beautiful, loving, gentle presence. And I guess you know, our domestic animals as well. It's like, because I remember saying to Steve one time, and you know, we do love each other, but I remember saying to one time, I remember, it's like, imagine if we could love each other as unconditionally as we love Majika. Like, she was setting the standard of love for us in our relationship.
And I think many animals are setting the standard of love, you know, they love us unconditionally, no matter what we do, they just love us with an open heart. Yeah, they definitely teach us that.
Yeah. So what I'd love to dive into a little bit, Rebecca, is going back into your story a little bit more. I'd love to hear a little bit more of your connection with animals, because I know it goes back into your childhood. I've heard you tell some stories even about your rabbit and what a connection you had with animals. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your the connection that's always been there, but because then you used to work with animals. So there's always been this weaving of animals into your life, even though you've done all these other amazing things. And I do want to get into the connection with the past life regressions as well, and all the other stuff that you do. But I think first it'd be really nice to connect the dots a little bit more back in with this connection that you've always had this lifetime with animals.
Yeah, so I feel like as a child, I was naturally communicating with animals. And I guess I just thought everybody was, because when you're a child and your gifts are so open, and I guess you've not learned that it's not normal to communicate with animals. I was also communicating with spirits at that time as well. And yeah, my very first rabbit I had, like, he was just so friendly, and he would, like, literally, when I would go out, he would crawl under the gate and he would follow me to the shops. He would just be like hopping along behind me. It was just so tame. And people would actually come round and ask if they could, like, borrow my rabbit to rescue their rabbits from underneath sheds and things, because he would just do whatever I asked him to. He was just absolutely amazing. And yeah, I've always had a really beautiful connection with all my pets, actually, growing up. But yeah, I think as I got older, I actually started to shut down my connection to communicating with animals and with spirits as well, because I recognized that it wasn't normal, and that other people weren't doing it. But instantly, I always worked with animals. So I worked at the SPCA voluntarily. I worked at animal sanctuaries. I worked at guide dogs for the blind, working with the dogs in dog care and welfare. And yeah, it wasn't until I was 28 when I actually left England and quit all my jobs and went traveling. That's when my abilities awakened to a much stronger capacity. Yeah, and then I started, yeah, realizing I could tap into my healing abilities, my psychic abilities. And yeah, through training in angelic Reiki and receiving the different cleansings and attunements, that's when my telepathic abilities got really, really strong with the animals. And yeah, one day I was just sat in my angelic Reiki teacher's kitchen, and as far as I was aware, there was nobody there. And this little voice in my head just said, "I've got a sore leg." And I knew the thought wasn't mine, and I knew that I didn't have a sore leg. So I was looking around the kitchen thinking, where did that voice come from? And I heard the voice again, "I've got a sore leg." And I looked down on the floor and there was a cat just staring at me. So animals will often kind of stare at us when they're trying to talk to us. And this cat was just staring at me, and it said it again, "I've got a sore leg." Now, this is the first time I'd received very clearly like telepathic words from an animal. So yeah, when my angelic Reiki teacher came back, I said to her, "Does your cat have a sore leg?" And she said, "Oh yeah, he's been limping." And so I ended up then talking to the cat about the sore leg, and the cat shared with me that it was connected to a past life and that it needed me to clear the past life energy from his body so that he could release the sore leg, which I then did. And that was my first kind of adult experience of talking to animals consciously. And then from there, it just got stronger and stronger.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it seems interesting that you've had this natural connection with animals, and then you kind of veered in a way away from it a little bit, but then you came back to it like through the modality of angelic Reiki, and then from angelic Reiki through past life regression and
Yeah.
learning that modality, practicing that. And then that came back into the animal communication. So what I find so fascinating and unique and specialized from what I can gather of what you do. And you know, I'm not an expert on what's out there in the world, but from what I gather in our conversations, and what you introduced me to, I never thought, I never knew animals had past lives. Like I just didn't know. Like you were the one who introduced me to that concept about animals having past lives as humans or other different kind of animals, and now it's not a big deal, but that's a lot of that seems to be a lot of the way you end up working with people. So can you go into a bit more of this very special animal communication modality and how you actually end up working with people who often are calling you up to support their own animals, but tell us a little bit more about what it ends up being.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, animals will reincarnate with us over and over again. So, you know, we've had many past lives. We all reincarnate with each other over and over again, our family members, our friends. And our animals are also included in that. So our animals reincarnate with us throughout lifetimes, and sometimes they're animals and sometimes they're people. So contrary to popular belief, animals show me past lives where they've been humans. So it's not a case of animals are always animals. My own past lives where I've been an animal as well. And we keep coming into each other to teach each other lessons, to support each other. We all play different roles for each other, which we have agreed upon before we come. So sometimes your animal might have come in to be a support, maybe through a divorce or the death of a family member or something big in your life, or the animal may actually have come to challenge you as well. It's a very naughty horse that belonged to a young girl. She was a teenage girl, and the mother had called me out for that horse because it was being very naughty. And when I spoke to the horse said, I'm not willing to change my behavior because this girl is going to grow up to be a specialist in horse behavior. And so she needs me to be a naughty horse because she's going to learn through her training with me. That's an example of why an animal might challenge us, because it was actually helping the young girl to grow into who she was becoming. So that was just an example of why an animal would come in to challenge somebody. You know, it was teaching the girl to move into the version of her that she was becoming. She was going to become an expert horse trainer in her future. So this horse was required as part of her journey to teach her. So yeah, animals reincarnate with us over and over again. And sometimes there's something that's unresolved from a previous life. So if there's something that's happened in another life that hasn't been resolved and we've brought it through into this life, then the animal will start to display behavioral problems, physical problems as a reminder to you, hey, do you remember when this happened before? So they're trying to remind you of the past life. So what usually happens is the animal is displaying a behavior or a physical problem, and the human companion of that animal will contact me and say, hey, I'm having this issue with my pet. I will then go to either meet the animal, or I can do the session online through a photograph, and I will then telepathically communicate with the animal through linking through its eyes and its energy field. And I'll communicate with the animal, why is it behaving in this way, or why is it displaying this physical problem? Sometimes the animal is mirroring something for the owner or taking something from the owner, but often the animal is carrying the energy of a past life. It's reminding the owner of a past life that they've had together. So what will happen during a session is the animal will tell me, this is what happened in the past life for me, and this is what happened for my human companion or companions, because it might be multiple family members. And then based on what I'm told, I'll share that with the person, and then I'll clear the energy of the past life for everybody involved. Now, what usually is occurring is the animal isn't really requiring the healing. It's the human family that's requiring the healing. And the animal is just bringing the energy up again to remind them of what's happening before. So often I go to animal consultations and the animal tells me, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just doing this to bring this up for my owner so they can receive healing. Because what I find often is people are very reluctant to pay for their own healing. They're very reluctant to pay for a session, but when there's something wrong with their animal, they will actually book a session. And that's just the animal's way of getting them to do the releasing. So it's actually the session ends up usually being for the human companion of the animal. Obviously, there's still healing for the animal as well, but that is the way that animals are being of service to their companion.
And I'm thinking like another way of saying that is that that's the way the soul is getting the attention of the person through the animal.
Yeah.
You know, that it's part of whether soul or higher self. But I remember, like, you know, that was one of the first things I think you told me about Majika, is that she's like part of my soul. Like, you know, that she came here to, you know, to help me heal, even though that message came later on. But it's like she's, you know, she's part of my soul energy.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like because like the intention is to heal up this lifetime, other lifetimes, you know, energetically, so that we can, you know, what would you say, awaken, ascend the frequencies, become healed and harmonious, and, you know, rather than repeating these I guess unhealed patterns. Really, you know, it's really healing these patterns, right, and learning and discovering whatever is to be the takeaways from it, which ultimately usually creates more compassionate, loving, kind beings on the earth.
Yeah, and one of the stories that, you know, we're talking about how they can literally give us a message. I remember my cat, Lady Nada. She used to go and kill rats, and she used to leave them underneath my healing table, and she would eat everything apart from the guts. And it was horrible to clean up because she left it on the carpet. And so then after a few times of this happened,
it's an attention grabber.
yeah, it's an intention grabber. And I said to her, why are you doing this? Like, it literally looks like you're sacrificing something in my healing room, you know? And she you know, she was sat there really calm, and she just turned to look at me, and just telepathically, she just said, when are you going to stop sacrificing yourself? And it just hit me like so strong, like, because at the time I was sacrificing my own well-being, like working hard, not charging enough money for my sessions. There was this self-sacrifice going on of trying to help everyone else, but not actually valuing what I was offering. And yeah, she just gave it to me really, really clearly. Yeah. So it can be very specific, the way they bring their messages to you. Yeah.
Yeah, they mean business. If they're putting it under your healing table. Yeah, but you know, and we've had this conversation sometimes, is like sometimes things have to be in our face, or like physical issues, to get our attention, so that we will pay attention and we will ask those questions, you know, so it's interesting as well. When you step back, you're like, actually, yeah, that's what it took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Miss Rebecca, I would love you to set on course now for some, oh, I can hear a frequency shift in my ear. We must be shifting frequencies because I'm about to talk about the dolphins and the whales. So let's talk about, yeah, let's talk about the connection of, yeah, you know, from the domesticated animals to these animals in the wild. So talk
Mm.
more about that. And then, of course, you know, your passion now to run these retreats of yours, and what you see as the potency and potential and the invitation now for us, for our connections between humans and dolphins and whales. And there just seems there's this beautiful invitation opening up to really reconnect with ourselves again.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at the moment I'm working personally with people's pets. So I'm doing one-on-one sessions where people are calling me out for their animals to work with specific problems. But yeah, I also communicate with wild animals. So I've communicated with the consciousness of pigs or wolves or different wild animals. Yeah, for various reasons, especially when I know they're about to be hunted. I'll often communicate with the wild animals to let them know. And yeah, I definitely have a passion for communicating with the dolphins and the whales. Interestingly, when I left England and went traveling, I had such a huge journey with dolphins. So I went to live in Monkey Maya in Australia for a year and a half, and I used to go to the water nearly every day, and the dolphins come in every day. And that's where my connection with them really started, I think. And then as I've traveled throughout different countries, I've gone to see dolphins in different regions, and swam with them in New Zealand, swam with them in the Bahamas and Australia and different places. So yeah, they really touch my heart. What I find with wild animals is they often bring in like a specific message. So particularly when animals show up in your life in the wild, they're often bringing a message to you. So what I will often say is look at their behavior. What is it about their behavior that's trying to bring a message to you? So for example, when people get mice that come into their house, they get infested with mice or insects, actually acknowledge the message of that animal because it's showing up in your life for a reason. With regards to,
can you give some examples of what those messages could be? For example, mice showing up in your house, or rats.
I mean, the message of mouse can often be like, stop scurrying around, you're moving too fast. Or sometimes it can be, you need to look at things from a closer perspective. You need to really bring your focus closer to the detail. I usually find the messages just vary slightly with each person. So sometimes it can be different each time. I went to a friend's house once who had an infestation of ants, and the message of ants is often patience, but it can also be learn to work together as a team because ants are very group orientated. And it was interesting with this particular ant colony. I actually, for the first time ever at the time, I communicated with the entire colony of the ants, and I asked them to leave the house. And as I asked them, they all started filing out of the window and down the wall, and they actually left. It was amazing. Like, I had my eyes shut at the time as I was talking to them, but my friend could see them leaving. So what I find with animals that are showing up in your life, especially if you consider them to be a pest, they're actually asking you to acknowledge their message. And then once you've actually acknowledged the message, they can leave. So like I say, it can be different for each animal, but look at the behavior of that specific animal. So like the mouse is very small, it runs around on the ground, it's feeding on scraps. So what is that message for you? I know a lot of people have problems with mice with winter as well. And in that regard, you want to tell the animal where. It's not good enough to just tell the animal you want them to get out of your house. You have to tell them where you want them to go. So I'm not happy with you being in the kitchen, but you can go and live in the compost. And you can send these messages to them through your imagination. Just intending pictures are being sent to the mouse. I don't want you to live in the house, but you are welcome here, because it's no good to say you're not welcome here, because they need to know where they can go. So that's one resolution for if you're having something in your house that you don't really want, you do need to give them a place where you are happy for them to be, so that they know where they can go.
And it's near like also the invitation, whatever the message is, but it's also like they're actually teaching us to communicate.
Yeah.
Like more telepathically, if you like, and more consciously, and to acknowledge the consciousness around us within the animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can all communicate telepathically. We all used to communicate with each other telepathically, and we still do to a certain degree. We might not always be conscious of it, but we often pick up on each other's thoughts and maybe don't acknowledge it. But it is a gift that can be strengthened through practice, just like anything. So animals often communicate in pictures. So imagining the picture of what it is that you're trying to tell them and sending that picture to them. So any animal that's showing up in your life consistently, whether it's a hedgehog running across your garden or a hawk flying above your car, it's bringing a message. And when we were more connected to nature, we used to listen to these messages and we used to acknowledge them. So the animals are showing up saying, hey, acknowledge the message. The hawk is, it's often about coming away from the situation and looking at it from a greater perspective. Yeah, so it's kind of the opposite of the mouse, really. But yeah, with regards to the dolphins, they have such an energy of joy and play and, social community.
Lightheartedness.
Yeah, and love, real pure love. And yeah, I've just been feeling this real strong calling that I want to work with the dolphins, and I've been communicating with them, with the consciousness of the dolphins, and what they've been saying is they want more people to come into the ocean to swim with them, because the dolphins actually have this capacity where they can scan our bodies with their sonar, and they can actually see where in our energetic field, because this is an energetic field as well, where we're holding blockages, and they can actually send sonar frequency through our bodies to release anything that's kind of stuck in our system. And I think this is why often people who are terminally ill, it's often a dream of theirs to go and swim with dolphins, because I think on some level they recognize there's a level of healing they can get from the dolphins. So yeah, I'm super passionate about swimming with the dolphins. Me and you have swum with the dolphins in Kaikoura about 15 times now. Yeah, I mean, I've spent hundreds of dollars on dolphin swimming tours, and the dolphins said to me the other day, you don't need to keep paying to swim with us, just come to the water and we'll come. And we did that, didn't we? And they did come. So yeah, I feel this beautiful connection with the ocean and with the dolphins, and also with the whales as well. The whales are thought to be the Akashic record keepers of the ocean, and when you come into contact with a whale, they are able to transmit through their eye any information that you're ready to receive from them at that time. So it's very special to sight a whale and actually to make eye contact with it. It is actually sending you information that you're ready to receive. So yeah, I'm feeling moving forward that I want to start working more with the whales and the dolphins, and kind of harnessing the wisdom that they're holding, and bringing that through for the collective.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a journey. But yeah, maybe speak a little bit like because like really what I felt personally with the dolphins is absolute inner child healing. Like, and to bring back that innocence of the child, that innocence of the child that was connected to nature, I guess. And maybe that's the sense out in the dolphins, or with the dolphins and the whales, that they seem to really respond they're really inviting out that playful nature within us again. And I remember once my own experience, and I'm sure I've shared this with you, but I've had like different experience. But I remember once being in the ocean, and my inner child kind of, having a bit of apprehension of like excitement, but also like, I want this to be really magical and special, but also like, am I special enough to have it be special? And then I go in the water and there's no dolphin in sight. And then I'm in the water, and my inner child is feeling a little sad and a little sorry for herself. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no, it's all magical. I'm in the water. It's all magical. Everything is magical. And I just let go of that attachment that I had to it needing to be something, to prove to myself, you know, that I was special enough, or the experience was special enough. And the moment I let go of that attachment, the dolphins were around me, and I felt like I was part of the pod. And it literally, it was like they came with me back to the boat, and it was just incredible. And I remember before that happened, and when I let go the attachment and the seriousness, I was just like in my snorkel mask, just giggling and laughing. It was like I just let it all the seriousness go. And it was like straight away, they were like, yeah, she's getting it. She's getting it. So I think
Yeah.
they're really, at least for me, and it's gone back to the animals, what we were talking about earlier, but I feel like, again, they really are helping us reflect back to us again, that they're responding. The more relaxed and playful and joyful, and the more we can open our hearts to them, the more they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, they're interacting. And I notice that the more times I go in the water, there's more eye contact. We're hanging out with each other more, because I'm relaxing into it more, and I'm feeling like more easy about receiving them and receiving the magicalness. Like it's like really restoring the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're so playful, and I think the more you have an expectation, I feel like the dolphins have taught me massive lessons in expectation. The more you have an expectation of it looking a certain way, they're just like, no, they just want you to release all attachment, all expectation, and just be present with what is showing up right now. Like, this is perfect, exactly as it is right now. But a memory comes back when I went to the Bahamas, and we were on the boat, and we were looking for the dolphins, and the leader of the group was like, right, we all need to meditate, and we all need to drop into this. It was like almost a sense of this serious energy, to get the dolphins to come to us. And for whatever reason, I didn't feel to join the meditation, and I went to the back of the boat and I tuned in with the dolphins, and the message was, why are you taking this so seriously? There was just a sense of, what are you guys all doing on the boat? You're all sat there like, They were like, we want you to sing, we want you to play, we want you to join us in the water. And it just really made me laugh, because it was just this sense of like how we can take life so seriously, and things, have to look a certain way to be manifested. And then it was like, no. And I ended up just singing, like my heart was just like so overflowing with joy. And I just ended up singing to the dolphins, and then they just showed up, and it was so beautiful. But it was a really powerful lesson. I think, especially sometimes, I think in the spiritual communities, we can take things too seriously, of how things need to be. And it's like, no, like joy is the highest frequency. And I really feel like that's what the dolphins are teaching us, like, let's just come into joy. Yeah.
Yeah. Speak more about that. Joy is the highest frequency. And take that into, maybe if there is a weave there, into what you're creating, or this dolphin retreat that you're doing in September, but also these messages that you've been getting about the connection with Atlantis. And like, what is it activating? Have you got a sense of what this kind of greater calling is activating within those who are being called to be participate on this retreat in person and online? What are the codes? Because you've talked about like the ancient codes. So yeah, if you talk a little bit more about that, that'd be great.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been feeling to run a swimming with dolphins retreat in the Bahamas for about 4 years. And there's been a lot of, it's interesting, when the opportunity presented itself 4 years ago, I applied saying, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. And the company got back and said, yeah, great, we'd love to have you. And then it was interesting, like the amount of fear that came up of like, oh my God, I've just been offered my dream, and now I don't know if I can do it. And so much fear came up. So 4 years ago, I wanted to run a dolphin swimming retreat, and then fear stopped me, because it was just like this sense of like, who am I to live the life of my dreams and follow this? And so I didn't.
And live in so much joy.
Who am I to be so abundant and joyful and full of love, And so I didn't. And I had, and from that point, I had to process a lot of inner children that were sabotaging, and different things that were sabotaging me from doing that. And then COVID happened. So it's been 4 years since I had this dream to to run this retreat with the dolphins. And then I very strongly got the message from the dolphins, it's now. The time's now. This is when you're running your retreat. And what I touched on before about the dolphins is they have this capacity to scan into the human body and the energy field and see where we are holding ourselves back through stuck energy. So sometimes when we hold emotion, which is energy in motion, when we hold emotion in our body, it can get stuck and then it can create physical pain in the body. So what the dolphins are able to do is to send their frequency into the body and release these stuck energy. What they're also able to do is activate energy within us as well. So we carry dormant codes within our DNA that when the time is right, we can switch them on, and that creates greater capacities within our body and within ourselves. So yeah, Bimini, the location in the Bahamas, is actually thought to be one of the ancient locations of Atlantis, and there is the original Atlantis road there as well, which we do snorkel during the retreat. So actually going to the location in itself is very, very powerful. But yeah, what I feel I'm going to be doing is working alongside the dolphins. So me personally, I offer healing sessions where I'm also working with the crystalline DNA and activating these light codes within the energy field. And the dolphins said they're going to be working alongside me to activate them within the body. So I'm working in the energy field, they're working in the body, and together we're activating these ancient codes. Yeah, how do I describe what they are? Let me just drop into that. It feels like it's like a divine energy blueprint of who we came here to be and the gifts that we brought to earth. So it's almost like there's a jigsaw puzzle and we're all each a specific piece of this jigsaw puzzle, and we're all bringing our unique gifts. So there's no other piece like us. So it's very important that each of us show up to complete this puzzle. And often we won't show up because through fear, just like I said about when I got given the opportunity, fear of our own power, fear of being seen, depending on what past life experiences we've had as well. But it's important now for each of us to show up and bring that specific code and that specific gift to the planet. So yeah, it feels like these codes are like your divine energy blueprint that's waiting to be activated at the right time, which feels like now, so that we can start bringing more of our intuitive gifts, more of our true self onto the planet, so that we can be of service to the collective as a whole. And the challenge I've been receiving lately is there's 20 places on this dolphin retreat. The people that I feel that are coming are the people that did live in Atlantis all those years ago, the people that do carry those codes and those gifts, and on some level remember that they were there and they are here for a purpose. Maybe, you know, when we come here, we forget who we are, and so we're in this process of remembering. But yeah, it feels like the group is a very specific group of people that each have their own gifts, and together we're actually going to anchor those gifts together as a group, as a collective. It feels like, yeah, and it feels like anchoring the energy of Atlantis again on the planet. That's what it feels like. That's the information I've been receiving. So the dolphins are asking me to work alongside them to call this group of people to the Bahamas, into the ocean, so that we can all work together for our own healing and transformation, but also for the healing on a larger scale as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it feels really, really powerful.
Yeah. So for many of us who do have those memories, and this whole last few years definitely for many of us brought up those memories of Atlantis, and you hear the stories of the flood, but also, you know, that things were too extreme on the technological level, but also people were more technologically advanced, but also more, I guess, advanced in their consciousness. What would you say to those people who maybe a little bit confused that might be feeling the call to go on a retreat like yours, or even this Atlantis, but then as you said, it can bring up maybe fears. And I know you've had some of that and other people, because you remember, you know, that things didn't go so well in Atlantis, or there was the fall of Atlantis. And I know this is going over a long spell of time, and then Lemuria was somewhere there as well. So it can be a little confusing, you know, I mean, it's quantum, right? You know, but yeah, just any other insights or helpful guidance for people that they may kind of be able to tap into, maybe more discernment around if they were there perhaps, and if there's a calling in them to participate, whether it's on your retreat or on somebody's retreat, that is, you know, that a calling that is coming from, it's actually coming from their own inner guidance to activate these codes so that they can come into that remembrance. And I guess ultimately it's going to be a greater sense of empowerment on the planet through that remembrance and our ability to create rather than be created upon.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is the soul calling comes to each of us through excitement. So if you see this dolphin retreat, or you hear about this dolphin retreat and it lights you up and you feel excited, then that is the soul's calling. That is the soul saying, yes, this is for me. And that's the same with anything. Like anything that lights you up and creates excitement is your soul going, yes, that's why I came. If you were feeling into coming and you felt contraction and it was feeling heavy, then that's a no. That's your soul saying, no, that's not my highest choice. So the soul's calling is the excitement, but that's not to say that the fear won't come up straight afterwards, like it did with me. So I got offered the dream job, so to speak, and then I went into all the reasons why I couldn't take it. You know, who am I to do that? Blah, 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 you know? So if you feel excited about it, then I would say that is the calling to come. But then, yeah, like you say, if we've had past lives where we've been powerful and then maybe we've used that power to harm others, or that power's created us our death or something else, then there can be fear there of like not wanting to embrace the power again. So this is where, you know, exploring past lives can be useful, where we can go back, look at what happened before, and we can release that energy. We don't have to have the same experiences again. We're not here in this life to recreate the experiences that we've had in the other life. Like it's time for something new now. This is literally the life we've all been dying to live. This is the life. This is the life where we do get to live our dreams. So follow the excitement, follow the calling of your soul, because also the calling of your soul is also going to be the thing that brings you money as well. So a lot of people are saying, I can't come on the dolphin retreat because it's too much money. But actually, money follows joy. So if you're putting your joy into something, then of course the money is going to come. If you go to work every day and do a job you hate, and, you know, yes, you're going to get paid for it, but that's not going to be an influx of infinite abundance. That's going to be maybe a steady stream of income that's paying your bills. But if you actually step into the thing that really brings you joy and expands your being, that is going to create a lot of abundance for you. So I feel like I've gone off on a tangent now talking about.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, because I think it's just so important. You know, this is it's just so important to highlight this. Um, you know, again, what you've just shared is just the simplicity of follow your highest excitement, and that
Yeah.
joy is infinite abundance. Like
Yeah.
that is it. We've just been so conditioned and used to and trained into believing that it's got to be hard and challenging and whatever, and that's an old consciousness. And I'm finding, I know you're finding, like it doesn't work anymore. Like it's a hard slog, and a lot of it is just going back to what you're saying, is the soul isn't interested anymore. That's what I'm finding. Is like if the soul really wanted to have those experiences, but like in my soul, and I'm sure yours and most of us pretty much on this planet are like, our soul is like, okay, we've done that. Now let's move. Now this is the remembrance, and this is the culmination of all these cycles, actual 26,000 year cycle, and that this really is this culmination of consciousness, you know, and that we're really bringing it all together. That's my sense on it. And you know, as you said, that this is the dream life. This is when we create our heavenly earth. you know, and that we have all, and that we are all the pieces of the puzzle, but we have all the pieces of the puzzle within us. So as we turn over our pieces and we're like, oh yeah, it becomes more and more apparent that
Yeah.
it's here and now, and just like going back to the animals, to be present, and that it's just the joy of being. Like there's such a simplicity to it that it's you know, and a joy and a joy, and you know, I get the cosmic giggles when I start to tap into it, because my being is like, yes. There's
Yeah.
such, you know, and then it's so joyful to be human, it's so joyful to be on the earth, it's so joyful, like everything just seems like a gift, this beautiful gift of creation, rather than this slog and this burden and this like earning and hard work. And you know, again, it's like it was an experience, but it's like we really are uplifting and ascending the frequencies now and re-remembering. And so we have to let that stuff go, you know, and that, you know, and then really that pushback, you know, that resistance is the parts of us that are like, "Oh," you know, and it can seem, you know, a bit scary, but there is so much freedom on the other side of it.
Yeah, because we get comfortable with what we've known. And I know that for myself, you know, there's some inner children as well that they know what they know and they know what they're used to, and then they can come up and sabotage. So yeah, I think looking at the inner child as well is such a key piece in looking at where you're holding yourself back.
It's huge. Do you
From
want
the
to talk about, do you want to talk actually a little bit, because you're offering, let's get into what you're actually offering upcoming. So it'll be the inner child meditation. So if you could talk about that online, and just anything else you want to talk about the dolphin retreat, and we'll probably start wrapping things up. We've been on about an hour with some details of where people can connect with you.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, next Tuesday evening, New Zealand time, I'm running an online inner child meditation. Yeah, just to meet one of your inner children that is sabotaging you at this moment. So going back to a specific age and seeing what was happening for you at that time, how the inner child was feeling, maybe somebody was shutting them down. And then actually I'm going to encourage you to parent your own inner child. So rather than looking outside of yourself for your parent to give you what they never gave you, it's actually learning that the adult self now can parent that inner child. So I'm doing an online meditation, and I'll be sharing tools about how we can speak to our own inner child and nurture them as well. So that's next Tuesday. And then in September, so September the 1st to the 7th.
Can I pause you just for 1 second? So can people, can they get a recording of this if they
Yeah,
book
so if they can't
if they're not
attend
aware? Yeah.
Wednesday, they can get a recording. They can purchase a recording afterwards. Yeah. 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 And then in September the 1st to the 7th, I'm running my first dolphin swimming retreat in Bimini in the Bahamas, which you're also joining for. Very excited.
Yay!
So it starts in Fort Lauderdale for one night, and then we fly to Bimini, beautiful island in the Bahamas, and we'll basically go out on the dolphin boat every day.
I've got my animal. Well, it's
The
not a
animals,
dolphin, but my last,
dolphin.
yeah. I wonder, could I give a dolphin a hug like that? That'd be pretty cool. Maybe not.
So yeah, we'll be going out on the boat every day. We'll be snorkeling the Atlantis Road, and we'll be swimming with the dolphins every day, you know, as long as they show up, which I'm sure they will. Yeah, and so that retreat I've named Codes of Ascension, because it really feels like it's about the theme of the retreat is really about stepping into your highest potential. So during the week, I'll be facilitating activations, and we might be talking to the inner child, going into past lives, yeah, working on a multidimensional level to heal anything that's in the way of you becoming the greatest version of yourself and stepping onto the highest timeline for you right now. So that's kind of the theme for the retreat. And obviously we've got the dolphins helping us with that and bringing us play and joy and everything else that they bring us energetically. You can find more details about my retreat at rebeccagambles.com. And also, I have an animal communication Facebook page as well, which we can link in the comments afterwards. Rebecca Gamble's Animal Healer and Communicator. Yeah, and also I'm on Wild Quest's website as well, which is the company in the Bahamas that run the retreats as well. Yeah.
So just in that retreat package, could you give a little bit more insight into what that is, especially because you're offering these, is it one session or two sessions, like a because I know you shared a story with me, we don't have to go into it, but like you did already have like a session with somebody and it really helped to release that resistance to stepping forward with our whole being onto the retreat.
Yes.
So yeah, talk about those little
Yeah.
sessions you're offering each person who signs on as well, because I think that's
Yeah. So the price for the retreat is $3,333 and that includes all your accommodation, so in Fort Lauderdale and in Bimini. It includes all your food, apart from one night when we go out for dinner at a restaurant, and it includes all your dolphin trips as well. On top of that, I am also offering a 30-minute session with me, one-on-one, for each person that's coming. So that might be a Pleiadian lightwork session or whatever it is that you feel you require. I will tune in with each person. We'll have a bit of a conversation about how each person's feeling and what they feel is in the way of them stepping into their highest potential. And then also I can read their energetic body aura and hologram to see what's going on in their energy field and help to release any sabotage, particularly if there are any past lives from Atlantis or where they have been really in their power. So we'll be doing clearing with the people during the sessions. I'm also offering a free meditation as part of the retreat as well, which you'll get sent. It's a dolphin and whale meditation. And then I'm also offering 2 calls before the retreat and 1 call after. And that will be a group call where we all get to meet each other, and I will be doing group clearings as well, and also sharing information about the retreat in those calls as well. Yeah, I think that's everything I'm offering as part of the package. So yeah, it's hard to remember. Yeah, oh, and I've also set up a private Facebook group for everyone that's coming so that we can all get to know each other, because what I'm finding is the people that are coming on this retreat are all gifted leaders in their own right. They've all got their own gifts, yourself included. And so I've set up a private group. So I'm actually putting channelings that I'm receiving about Atlantis into the group, but I'm also wanting us all to start meeting each other and sharing, because it doesn't feel like it's me leading the retreat. It actually feels like a co-creation where I'm calling the group together and we're actually all sharing our gifts with each other and with the collective as well. So it just feels like a really powerful group of people that are being called to attend. So yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's in 2.5 months from now. So not too far off.
Yeah. And I feel like just adding in just the words were coming to me as you were speaking, just because power, you know, it's an interesting word, power. And I think sometimes we can have a bit of a funny relationship with that word. And especially because it has been misused and abused and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd love you to kind of maybe give a different languaging to what that really means to be in your power. But what was really coming through for me there as you're speaking is it really about trusting our hearts, trusting who we truly are and following this, like, and a lot of what we talked about, like our joy and really feeling like, and you know, the healing part is really releasing any self-worth issues or trauma or, you know, things that are keeping us separate from who we truly are, so that we can really trust that guidance and that the higher, you know, the inner being guidance, and that we can, as you said, live this dream, joyful, abundant, you know, life, and like the human part can lean into this, whether we call it, like I like to call it divine love, but you know, like creation, you know, inner being, and feel cared for, feel taken care of, and that life can just be this, you know, this beautiful, joyful adventure, you know, this just incredible. The soul wants to have an adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like being in your power, for me, it's really being in your alignment, like being in your highest alignment with yourself, with who you truly are, whatever that looks like. That to me is power. It doesn't necessarily mean standing in front of millions of people and leading them. The power is whatever your truest gift is that you brought, you know? So it's really being in alignment with that and not being afraid to show it. So, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but if we go back to the quantum with you, it was like one of your gifts was your quirkiness. And it was like, you know, just allow yourself to be quirky, to be crazy, you know, like don't try and fit in and be normal, because that's not who you are. So that's part of your power is bringing that energy, being in your alignment with your soul, what you chose to be here to bring here at this
And
time.
then just to that other part is like a lot, the reason why that has been so challenging for me is because the wounding within my heritage and generational trauma, you know, of that quality, you know, being as a derogatory quality or whatever. So healing my inner child is helping to bring out more of that freedom and that flavor and that joy, because it is joy just to be quirky and weird and wacky.
No, I guess we didn't want to make it too easy, did we? We wanted to put a few obstacles in the way of us bringing through our highest gifts, you know. But yeah, so for me, I think power is just really being in alignment with who you are and being willing to share that unapologetically, because there are going to be people that react to your truth. There will be people, but it's like just still being willing to share anyway, what you know to be true, your gift. You know, that's what it feels like for me.
Yeah, and I feel like even these last few months myself, and for, you know, some time, but especially these last few months, that one of the biggest shifts, and I feel for both of us probably, and many may relate to this, is to really like deepen into really trusting this alignment more than what has been reflected back on the physical screen. You know, as in not to abandon that inner alignment, you know, to really trust it, you know, and that's why I use the word trust, that lean into this rather than the old habit, which was to maybe disconnect, to fit in, to be acceptable, you know, what we learned in our childhood, you know, to be part of our you know, the family dynamics, or or the societal dynamics, or cultural dynamics, or religious dynamics, and so forth. So it's like unlearning some of those habits really, and you know, yeah, it's like nearly reestablishing, isn't it? And we talk about those ancient codes, it's like bringing back online, you know, what is actually, you know, a deeper alignment truth, and it's time right now to bring that back online. It's called for.
Yeah, and it feels like so many of us have been playing small for so long, you know, just hiding away, or maybe doing our work a little bit, but not too much. So we're not noticed, we're not seen. I mean,
Guilty.
who could we possibly be to shine in the world and, you know, stand out? So yeah, we've been playing small, and you know, I speak for myself. I've been playing small. I can't speak for anyone else, but yeah, it feels like it's time now to start sharing on a greater scale.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's really like I can feel it within me as well. Like I can feel how my own inner story, and whether I call it subconscious programming, is really shifting so that it can be joyful to share. Do you know that it's not this scary thing anymore?
Yeah.
That you know, and part of that's the trust, but also it's like the trust in my own energy, and trust in what I'm going to attract into my life, and you know, resonant connections and communications, and that we're, you know, that there's so much more of us that are feeling this within us, and you know, we want to come from the heart, and we want to, you know, we want to co-create, you know, this beautiful experience on earth, a harmonious experience that's respectful and honorable to all life, the animals, the plants, and knowing that as we do that, we're respecting and honoring ourselves, and vice versa, that it works both ways.
Yeah.
We haven't really dived into the Palladian light work, the angelic Reiki, what's that about? The past life regression, the mediumship, you know, got some great stories on that, and personal stories where you helped me really with really heal a lot of stuff with my mom.
Yeah.
And
Mediumship feels quite important. Yeah. Maybe
yeah,
we'll do.
yeah. So yeah, we could definitely have a few more conversations. So I hope you'll join me again, and thank you so much for sharing this conversation, and thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed it. And who knows, maybe we'll see some of you in person on the Bimini retreat, and just, yeah, just sharing the gorgeousness of the dolphins, and yeah, exploring this co-creation and collaboration of all our gifts and codes, and yeah, who knows, I think there's something in that as well, that it is, you know, we're on the adventure and the discovery, and that we're going to discover along the way, and being open to that is actually part of it.
It's all a journey.
Yeah, yeah. So any final words, Rebecca, as we close out? To, yeah, just anything, whether you want to tune in, and whether there's any message there that just wants to be shared with whoever, and just feel into the collective of who will connect with this recording once it's published.
I mean, the words that come to me is remember who you are. It just feels like we're in this process of deep remembrance. And I feel like the animals are showing up to assist us with that as well, in whichever way they can. Yeah. And yeah, just to really trust yourself, with your gifts and what you're here to bring as well. It feels like we're kind of in this process of like unlayering all the programming of self-doubt and all the places where we felt like we had to play small. And it feels like we are in this emergence period now. That's what comes to me in the moment. Just remember. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, and I just want to thank all the animals, you know, because they are such beautiful service to us, and I don't see them as any less in consciousness than us. So I don't see them as just an animal. I see them as a consciousness that is just as aligned and sovereign as we are, and we're all here to co-create on the planet together. Yeah, and so yeah, I deeply respect them and love them, and yeah, I'm happy to be a voice for them in whichever way they desire me to be. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. A beautiful voice you are for the animals. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on the podcast, and we will definitely have you back again.
So yeah, one of the things that I would like to offer anyone that's watched this video is a free gift, and the free gift is a morning ritual. And basically it's for anyone who feels really, really sensitive. Maybe you're an empath, maybe you pick up on other people's energies, you're struggling to get grounded. The purpose of the ritual is to really get you grounded in your body, present here for the now, and clearing your energy field of anywhere that you're holding on to the energies of others. So, you know, often when we're very sensitive, we can kind of act like a sponge, and we take on the emotions of others. Sometimes we take on the pain of others, and then we think it's ours. So the ritual is basically a step-by-step process that you can do in the morning. It doesn't take long, maybe 10 minutes, if that. You can actually do it while you walk into work if you want, and it's just really to ground you in your body, clear your energy field, so that it sets you up for a positive day. And it also strengthens your boundaries so that you don't feel as much from other people. It kind of contains your energy for yourself. So I've created this ritual which I'd like to gift to you, and if you want to receive it, then you just need to go to the website that Mary Jo is going to put at the bottom of this link, and click on that.
yourname.com, right? Rebecca Gambles.
My website is rebeccagambles.com. I'll send you the link that they'll need to click to sign up, and then when you sign up, you'll receive the free gift to your email inbox.
Hey, so I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I did, with my beautiful soul sister, Rebecca. What an amazing conversation around animal communication. Just stay tuned for more Divine Love Ambassador podcast with amazing guests and amazing conversations and amazing energies. Please do subscribe and share this with your friends. You know, share it around, share it in private messages or on your socials. And share the love, share the connection. So yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Divine Love Ambassador. You can also follow Divine Love Ambassador on the podcast on Spotify. And yeah, that's probably the main one. And yeah, stay connected. Oh, the Facebook group. Yes. So look up 2022 Divine Love Ambassador Facebook group. You can join us there. And yeah, I post more regular posts and post the shows up there as well, and you can be connected with the guests as well. And if you're interested in being a guest, or you'd love to see somebody be my guest and have a conversation on this podcast, then do send me an email at divineloveambassador@gmail.com. Okay, much love, much blessings, much remembrance of your magic.